Elf I am the protagonist template, Invincible Chapter 41-60. Chapter 41. The Trump Card Bee is here. First update. Big Rock Snake, continue to attack with sharp stones. Laplace, dodge the freezing beam, then fight back with boulders. Under the drizzle, on the battlefield full of gravel and ice, a giant rock snake with a body length of nearly 10 meters raised its tail, and a circle of sharp rocks condensed out in an instant. He swung and slammed towards Laplace on the opposite side. At the same time, under the order of By-Z, Laplace, who was facing him, waved his fins, and his body quickly slid along the ice path formed by the spewed beams, while avoiding the rocks that fell head-on. There was fog all around. From time to time, many sharp boulders are condensed and shot at the big rock snake to counterattack. It's not that By-Z doesn't use the water-based skills that are more restrained against the big rock snake. It is really disgusting to play in the general way of the big rock snake fort. Huge gap in rank. Laplace really didn't dare to easily withstand the opponent's rock attack, so he had to use the frozen beam to condense the ice path as a slide, and he was tired of fighting the opponent's guerrilla war. In this way, it is equivalent to sealing the only two water-type attack moves that Laplace has now. Because whether it is a water gun or a water wave, it is the same as the frozen beam, which needs to be spit out of the mouth. Fortunately, compared to the big rock snake, it is basically a sharp stone attack that has been emptied. Laplace's natural ability to manipulate ice is excellent. Almost all the boulder attacks sent out were taken by the big rock snake. Although it is not as strong as the 4 times restraint of the water system. But twice the ice-based skills eat a lot. Even with the difference in rank and the advantages of innate physical defense, gradually, the big rock snake can't bear it. After all, it's not even the heavenly king spirit. The qualitative change caused by the quantitative change is enough to drag the other party down. But By-Z knew better. If you continue to stalemate like this, I am afraid that the first one who can't hold it will be his own Laplace. Because, compared with the big rock snake of the quasi-king, it's just that Laplace, who has just entered the gymnasium level, is still far behind the big rock snake in the accumulation of energy and physical strength. It can stalemate with the big rock snake across more than 20 levels. It was completely achieved by By-Z's extremely accurate instruction and judgment ability, and the tactical thinking of, strike the short, to the extreme. Therefore, come back, Laplace, you have done well. With a judgment in his heart, By-Z decisively recalled Laplace and replaced it. After comforting him, he threw another luxurious ball towards the battlefield. It's your turn to come on stage, Big Needlebee. Beer tilde. White light flashed, accompanied by bursts of invisible edge, like a killing machine like metal insect beast quietly suspended in the void. It is the original giant hornbee that has a metallic color scheme and is permanently mega. Bright hornbees. No. This is a flashing alienated individual. Looking at the flying insect beast whose shape and color are completely different from the general stingray, Jiro's pupils, which were hidden under the eyeliner, shrank slightly, and said in surprise. In nature, members of the same species have very similar morphological structures to each other. But among the elves, there are occasionally special individuals who are different from the ethnic group. These special individuals are generally difficult to be accepted by the ethnic group. Basically, they will be rejected by the ethnic group, or even expelled. On the contrary, it may be the compensation of nature. As a special individual, the Shining Elves have excellent aptitudes, far better than ordinary individuals of their own race. And, compared with Flash Elves, alienated elves are even more rare and precious. Because in addition to being far superior to their peers in terms of aptitude, they are all talented and possess unique abilities that can be called heaven-defying. For example, the ghost-type Kikuko in the Kanto area controls an able monster with an alienized elf individual with the ability called Death Makeup. This arbor can freely switch the pattern with special bonus power on its face, and an elf can perform various functions such as main power, protection, interference, etc. It is very abnormal. What's more, the big stinger bee in front of me is a double combination of flash and alienation. Even the weakest insects. Its value. It is also immeasurable. Big rock snake, continue to attack with sharp stones. As the so-called one trick is eaten all over the sky, after Baizi's teaching, Jiro, who has initially formed his unique battle mentality, repeated his old tricks and ordered the big rock snake first. Sword dance. Seeing this, Baizi narrowed his eyes and shouted in a deep voice. Inside the field. As the big rock snake swung its giant tail again, a circle of sharp rocks suddenly condensed, like a hail of bullets, moving towards the void, and the giant needle bees that gradually glowed with light swept away. Chapter 42. One by one, are they all monsters? Second more. Sword dance, as a status skill that can greatly enhance physical attack, can be said to be a very popular move by trainers. If used well, sometimes it is not impossible to defeat the weak and even push the team directly. However, in the cognition of most people, sword dance also has a very obvious shortcoming. That is the preparation time that must be taken before completing the sword dance. Whether it's dancing the fight dance, to stimulate energy and muscles in the body, or focusing on meditating, to unleash potential power. These all require full attention. And this also means that once the sword dance is used, it is equivalent to being reduced to a living target without the power to fight back. Jiro clearly understood this. However, he did not dare to take it lightly, who had already fully experienced Baizi's abilities. He just stared at the arena with frowning frowns. It had almost completely blocked the four sides and the sky above the giant hornbee and smashed it down to the rock formation. It's almost there. A smile suddenly appeared on Baizi's face, who was also watching this scene, and there was also a murmur of self-talk. On the field. Almost at the same time, a circle of energy swords suddenly burst out from the drooping big needle bee. Sword dance, it's done. And then. Angry. Gauntlets. Move at high speed. A bright light flashed in Baizi's eyes, and he issued 3 orders in succession, and the big needle bee also heard the sound. Beer tilde. The arms were folded and held high, and in the cold neighing sound of the big needle bees, a layer of blushing halo wrapped around the body, and the lavender translucent energy armor emerged above the double needles. Bah! The falling rock block suddenly collided with the energy gauntlet above the double needles of the giant needle bee. In an instant, the bright red halo ignited like a flame. The big needle bee also took advantage of the situation to push, and the figure like a bath of fire quickly fell and turned, almost touching the ground. Rumbling, the roar of the rock hitting the ground followed, but the big needle bee rushed to the front of the big rock snake with no reduction in speed. Extinction needle. The long needle swayed, accompanied by Baizi's awe-inspiring shout. A little cold light came first, and then the spear shot out like a dragon. Choke. Thorn. The sound of gold and iron clashing sounded, followed by the delayed air-tearing sound. The blue-green energy attached to the long needle wrapped around the gauntlet, and streaked a bright light in the air. The phantom of the lance stabbed heavily on the top of the big rock snake. Bang! A dull sound echoed over the entire venue. 5 blue-green energy rings rose. Foreshadows. Although this one-shot killing needle did not have the effect of one-shot kill, it caused the highest damage, 5 times the damage. And through this stab, the swift and ferocious impact of the giant needle wasp completely poured on the head of the big rock snake. The head was down, and the whole body was directly planted in the air, and fell heavily to the ground. Soil splashes. Smoke is everywhere. The dual sight was forcibly smashed out of a long tunnel by the body of the big rock snake. And no surprise. Even across a whole large class hierarchy. After the triple boost of sword dance, anger, and gauntlet, the extinguishing needle of the great needle bee, which has increased its damage to 30 times, still disintegrated the great rock snake's defense neatly, causing the opponent to fall into a coma under this blow. Completely incapacitated. The scene fell into a deadly silence. This sudden flip and instant kill, even if he was already prepared, Jiro couldn't help but immerse himself in this violent blow. And at the same time, your big needlebee leapfrogged Jiro's big rock snake in seconds. Gained a little, battle experience plus 20x2, big needlebee experience value plus 15x2, sword dance, anger, gauntlet, high-speed movement proficiency plus 1x2, extinction needle stab proficiency degree plus 3x2 close black lens bracket. Accompanied by the sound of the system. The frantic energy on the surface of the body gradually calmed down, and the dissipated great needlebee turned his head, while Baizi greeted the great needlebee's insect order, one person and one pet all of a sudden, showing a bright smile at the same time. Baizi, I did it. I became stronger. Ah, I know. Shadow. The sea urchin-headed squinting man, who had a panoramic view of all this, couldn't help but sigh. This deep bond with elves, as well as this talent, character, and strength that are almost visible to the naked eye, are the current newcomers, one by one, monsters. P.S. Chapter 43, The First Badge, Adding Potions. Third more. Baizi turned his head and looked towards the corridor on the left, as if he had been aware of it. In the shadow of the lights, a figure slowly disappeared. And this time, Jiro, who had taken the big rock snake back into the Pokeball, also walked towards Baizi with a 20 centimeters long square box in his hand. I am convinced that I lost. This is the gray badge of Nibby Jim, please accept it. Jiro's tone was respectful. With that said, he opened the square box and took out a stone badge with a facet like a diamond. With a solemn expression, he handed it over with slightly bowed hands. Then I'll be disrespectful. Baizi took it with a smile and pinned the badge on the inner lining of his coat. And just as he was about to say goodbye, in his ears, the system's prompt sounded again. You have harvested the first badge in your life. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, triggering the reward for attendance, the Universal Potion. Universal Compounding Potion. Baizi raised his brows, and with some doubts, he opened the secondary page of Universal Compounding Potion. I saw, Universal Additive Potion. This is a magical unfinished potion. The composition and characteristics of the last additive will determine its effect. The composition and characteristics of the additives determine the effect of the medicine. Why is it a hide-and-seek thing again? Really? The sharp-edged eyebrows twitched unconsciously, and Baizi looked at the potion plus equals close black lens bracket style synthesis column, rubbed his eyebrows somewhat helplessly. Seriously. Although the things that the system has produced so far are all high-quality goods, can you not hide it like this every time? Can you just not do it at all? Just like this medicine. Can you tell me directly what kind of things I add will have what kind of effect? If you don't say anything, just give a synthesis column. Do you think this is opening a jar in DNF? Wipe. Feeling helpless, but Baizi also knew that he couldn't explain the reason with this unintelligent system, so he had to roll his eyes, thought, and close the system panel. How to use this so-called Universal Compounding Potion still needs to be summed up. And before thinking about it, it had to be stored on the panel of the system to eat ashes. After harvesting the first badge, and immediately after visiting the Nibby Gym, Baizi turned to the large commercial street in the direction of the city center. Shops and booths of various colors are lined up on both sides of the street. In addition to the more common hotels, restaurants, clothing and hats and other shops, the most numerous are the various ore exchanges, large and small, which are rich in the characteristics of Nibby City. Baizi's goal is clear. As soon as you enter the commercial street, go straight to the centrally located Nibby department store. A hug, the Pokeball area. Please help me get some Pokeballs. I need 10 deluxe balls, and then 2 diving balls, 1 each for healing ball, heavy ball, and UU ball, thank you. Second floor, Tech Zone. Excuse me, give me a portable elf navigator, as well as the latest version of the solar electronic watch and notebook. By the way, I also want a power cube maker. Third floor, food area. A crazy big purchase. By the time Baizi walked out of the Nibby department store, it was more than an hour later. The 3-proof expanded version of the space folding backpack is indeed a good thing he customized with a lot of money. This kind of purchase is still not full, not to mention that it does not show any weight on the back, but it does not blind the expensive price of 500,000. But Bai Zeshuang was very happy with this wave of buying, but the money in the card was more than 5 million, and now, there is only a little over 1 million left. Leave the high street. Turn left and you will find the Spirit Center. While handing over the Stingray to Miss Joy for care, Baizi also replaced Laplace with a diving ball by the way. This particular Pokeball gives Laplace, a water-type Pokemon, far more comfort than a deluxe ball. Then, he contacted Bidiao Express again. The gifts that have been prepared and selected for Dr. Damu, Naname, Aunt Hanako, and Uncle Xiaohuang and Shuzi are stored in the storage cabinet of the Elf Center. As a subordinate organization of the Alliance, it can be said that there are buildings and facilities all over the world of elves. In addition to providing the well-known elf healing service, the Elf Center also involves many functions such as personnel accommodation, item storage, and elf transmission. It is a comprehensive and all-round service facility. I've kept you waiting for a long time. The elf you handed over to us has been confirmed to be healthy. Please keep it. Well, thanks a lot. After taking the luxurious ball from Big Needlebee and pinning it back to his waist, Baizi walked out of the center of the elf after politely nodding his thanks to Miss Joy. Next. It's time to teach that middle-aged couple what is the truth of misfortune comes from the mouth. Chapter 44. Come to the door, kick the hall. Fourth more. Rock Fist Gym. Unlike the Nibby Gym, an official gym officially recognized by the Alliance, it not only enjoys part of the taxation of the city where it is located, but also obtains a lot of subsidy funds from the local alliance every year. The only way for a private gym like Rock Fist Gym to get money is to recruit gym apprentices and charge tuition fees of varying prices, that's all. However, as a small well-known local gym, it has a quasi-king trainer. The business of Iwaquan Gym is actually doing pretty well. That's why, after Baizi walked into the hall, what he saw was the appearance of a large number of rookie trainers fighting and training camps in full swing. Wu Tilda. Zoroya in her arms whimpered naively, her ears flickered, and the flame-like dark red hair on the top of her head rubbed against Baizi's arms, looking very clingy. The little guy ran out of the Pokeball on his own halfway, and as soon as he came out, he got into Baizi's arms and couldn't leave. This obsession. Although a little helpless. But Baizi is almost used to it now. Just as Baizi looked around, a young man wearing a martial arts uniform with the word, Rock Fist, immediately greeted him. A quick glance. After recognizing Baizi's seemingly low-key, but in fact expensive custom trainer suit, a sincere smile suddenly appeared on his face. This little brother is here to join our Rock Fist Gym. Please come inside. You, welcome. Baizi nodded slightly and behaved politely. However, after following the receptionist into the gymnasium, Baizi did not continue to follow, but turned around and walked directly to the dual platform in the center of the hall. Hey, little brother, you are going wrong, the direction of the living room is not here. No mistake. Huh. Baizi ignored this man, walked a few steps quickly, and slightly bent his knees. The physical fitness and skills brought by master-level kicking skills made him as agile as a cool leopard, and he rushed directly to the dual platform that was at least 2 meters above the ground. Superior. Wow. Someone exclaimed subconsciously. Immediately. The apprentices and staff in these gymnasiums also began to discuss with some doubts. Who is this person? Why did he suddenly jump on the battle platform? Besides, he jumped on the platform at such a high level. His physical fitness is too terrifying. I am not quite sure, but like Master Iwamura, he's a martial arts trainer who pays attention to his own training, right? Also, look at the elf in his arms, it seems to be a breed that has never been seen before. Well, besides, people are so handsome. Baizi completely turned a blind eye to the discussions under the stage. Seeing that everyone's eyes are focused on himself. Boom! He casually knocked on the black and yellow luxurious ball around his waist. At the same time, he said in a low voice, "Everyone in the Rock Fist gym, I'm here to kick the gym." The voice fell. Everyone just felt a flowing shadow of metallic color suddenly passing by in front of them. Next second, with the sound of heavy objects falling to the ground, the mahogany plaque at the entrance of the gym with the words, "Rock Fist Gym," was immediately smashed to the ground and shattered. In the field, there was silence for a while. "Come back again." Then I saw a large needle bee with a different body and color, floating quietly beside Baizi, at a glance, with a murderous sense of coldness. Well, what's going on with this giant stinger? Also, he's playing for real. The plaques have been removed, is this still fake? Go to Iwamura Museum Master. The scene was suddenly noisy, and the students were a little panicked at the development of the matter. After a brief period of surprise, several gym trainers who were teachers also immediately surrounded. Baizi looked around, and when he saw this, the corners of his mouth twitched, and he said loudly, "Why, is this the way of the Rock Fist Gym?" Being kicked out of the gym is not sending a trainer to accept the challenge, but preparing to besiege the challenger himself. You. Dressed in a distinctive brown martial arts uniform, Atai, a disciple of Iwamura Ichiro, the senior brother of Iwakandoken, changed his face. He has seen many students operate electronic watches and start taking pictures, and even at the gate, many residents of Nibi City gathered to watch the lively internet age. If such a thing is exposed, the negative impact on the gym will be unpredictable. A gym that was kicked out of the gym and didn't dare to fight, spread it out, and who would be willing to spend money to come to you for cultivation training? To know. The private gym in Nibi City is not the only one, Rock Fist. Okay, I accept your challenge. Artie said in a low voice. By now, he has no choice. The only thing that can save your reputation is to defeat your opponent cleanly. Chapter 45, Afflicting Chiyu, the Hot Hand of the Wind Speed Dog. Ask for a flower ticket. You. Baizi glanced at the 20-year-old inch-haired youth in front of him, and said with a nonchalant expression, "All right, then, before your pavilion owner comes out, just warm up." Say it. He put away the big needle bee, replaced it with another pokeball, and threw it straight out. Since it's a kicking hall, what Baizi wants is obviously not an evenly matched battle, but crushing. Boom! Accompanied by a sudden scorching pressure, I saw a large dog elf nearly 2 meters high appearing in the center of the field, like an explosion of flames, and immediately swept the audience. That's right, the one sent by Baizi is the Wind Speed Dog. The level of the peak of the king, let alone a private gym on a bad street. Except for the 4 perverts in the Kanto region. Even against the main force of any of the 4 serving heavenly kings in any other region, he will definitely not be at a disadvantage. A mere rock fist. Completely a dimensionality reduction attack. This is a wind speed dog. It feels so strong. Yeah, with such power, is senior brother really an opponent? Can't you? This guy looks about the same age as us. At most, he is a little more handsome. How strong can he be? You know, the big brother was the top 16 player in last year's Quartz conference. That's what I said. Ignoring the discussions of the people around him, at this moment, Atai couldn't help but feel a little flustered. Although with his eyesight, he couldn't see how strong this wind speed dog was. But just by power. I'm afraid it can't be matched by myself. But now that the arrow is on the string and has to be sent, even if he knows that he is invincible, he can only bite the bullet. Go on the power. Use the blasting punch. Atai gave the order the moment he threw the pokeball, intending to surprise him. Highly D. And it seems to feel the trainer's resolute state of mind. The strange force bursting out from the white light released by the pokeball is also roaring again and again, and volleys directly in the direction of the wind speed dog. The muscular forearms bowed backwards, and the casserole-like fist lit up with a dazzling light, and slammed down on the top of the wind speed dog. God fast. A sneering color flashed in Bai Zi's eyes. He only played a little cleverness. In the face of absolute strength, how could he make up for it? Whoosh! The wind speed dog bowed slightly, and in the next second, it disappeared in place, and it came first at a rapid speed that was almost teleportation. Fell on the ring. The stone ring was smashed into a human-shaped deep pit. The 2 rows of blood on the waist and abdomen were clearly visible. Boom! The fine sparks ignited from the corner of the wind speed dog's mouth, and after the blood was evaporated, it returned to stand in front of Bai Zi again. The battle is over. And yes, Spike. You commanded the wind speed dog to defeat the strange power of a tie, and gained a little, the battle experience +1, the wind speed dog experience is not enough, the god speed proficiency +1, the fire tooth proficiency +1. Woo! The system prompt sounded. Bai Zi looked indifferent, scratched the chin of Zoroya in his arms. The little guy also made a soft sound, and comfortably cupped Bai Zi's palm. At the same time, the interior of the entire gym was silent, and everyone felt that they could not react. Too fast. It's so fast. The defeat of the strange force was too sudden. Facing the wind speed dog in front of him, he was like a child, and at all, he had no power to fight back. Putong Ah Tai's brain is also blank at the moment. He unconsciously kneeled on the ground with his eyes filled with bewilderment. Although he had a hunch that he might not be the opponent of the man in front of him. But what he never imagined was that he would lose so badly, so simply. Couldn't hold back even 1 round. He lost. Not lost for a while. But I feel that I will never be able to win the man in front of me in my life. With Bai Zi's eyesight, he could of course see that the chi of the senior brother of the Rock Fist gym in front of him had been completely defeated by him in this battle. If you can't get out, you may have limited success in the future. Not only that. The power of Bai Zi with the ability to detect. Bai Zi also knew that the surface in front of him seemed to have fallen into a near-death coma due to traumatic tearing and bleeding. Strange power, level 31, elite high level. Lost too much blood, the body is ravaged by the fire energy of the profound meaning level, and the internal injury is serious. The speedy biting and beating are only the surface, the hidden fire teeth are the fatal blow. Speak up. A Tai and his strange power can only be regarded as being affected by Kaiyu. But Bai Zi, who knew why the wind speed dog would make such a trick, obviously couldn't blame the wind speed dog. Therefore, it can only be considered that they are unlucky. Chapter 46. The 4 Heavenly Kings Don't Dare. Seek data support. Right. Bai Ziren's voice sounded, pointing to the strange force and said, although I can understand your weakness, I have to remind you that if you don't go to the Elf Center for treatment, even if it doesn't die of blood loss, I'm afraid it won't be able to come back in the future. The battlefield is over. Having said that. But Bai Zi was very clear. Even after timely treatment, if there is no Ice-type heaven and earth treasure in the future to neutralize the Fire-type energy in the body, this strange power, I am afraid that it will also be 99% useless. Tai only felt a buzzing sound in his head, and then raised his head to look at Bai Zi in a daze. For a moment, the dilated pupils gradually focused. Weird, strange power. It wasn't until now that he could see the horror of the strange force on the stage. His eyes suddenly reddened, and he staggered into the ring. After quickly stopping the blood for the strange force, he directly took it back to the Pokeball, and rushed out without looking back. Go to the gym. This person is really strong. Yeah, just one blow will give senior brother's elite high-level strange power. You say, how strong should this wind speed dog be? Why do you have to have a gym level? And it shouldn't be an ordinary gym level, otherwise, the big brother won't lose so badly. The students under the stage began to debate and speculate. Bai Zi raised his eyebrows, not caring. Instead, he turned his attention to the gym trainers who were silent. Condescendingly, he said softly, next. The voice fell, but there was silence on the field, and no one answered. When Baizi saw this, the corners of his mouth suddenly rose, and he grinned in an obvious mocking arc. What? Are you afraid? Why don't you do that? Baizi continued to take care of himself. If you don't dare to go one-on-one, then you can simply go on together. There are 7 of you in total, each with an elf, 7 to 1, how about it? You. It's so arrogant, you want to pick 7. Yes, so arrogant, who does he think he is? The 4 kings of the alliance. Even the 4 kings would not dare to fight like this. For a time, several gym trainers were excited. When Baizi heard the words, he almost couldn't help laughing out loud. Even the 4 heavenly kings don't dare to fight like this. Ha, I've said this, and I'm not afraid of being laughed at by others. Just you stinky fish and rotten shrimps, let alone against any of the 4 heavenly kings, even if it is the 2nd team, 3rd team, or even the substitute elves, you probably won't be able to last a few rounds. Too much nonsense. Baizi was too lazy to listen to the barking of these frogs at the bottom of the well, and said bluntly, "Come on, do you dare to come?" Everyone said, "I have never seen such an arrogant trainer when I grew up. Therefore, go, hot monkey, jump up and chop with your bare hands. Mosquito bathers, use foam rays. Show him how good you are, sparrow, use the triple attack. Rumble rock, roll. Above, poison attack. Howley, kick the next set. Hercules, horns." The words are righteous words, but the moment these 7 guys threw the pokeball, they all issued an order that was tantamount to a sneak attack, as if they had negotiated. Tisk. Really, why do these people always think that they can narrow the gap in strength by relying on some ingenuity that is not on the table? Just teach me a lesson, don't kill me. Baizi looked mocking, his fingers hooked on Zoroya's soft chin in his arms, and he ordered without raising his head, "Hot wind." Woo tilde. The wind speed dog moved when it heard the sound, its huge mouth opened, and a scorching breath suddenly emerged from it, turning into a hot gust of wind whistling towards the elves. The scorching wind pressure instantly evaporated the light, foam, venom and other skills that hid along the way. Then move on. All the 7 elves were blown away with an irresistible strong wind, and the scorching fire element contained in them continued to burn the shrouded elves. Under a single blow, even Longlongin and Mosquito Coil Swimmer, who had excellent fire resistance, failed to have the slightest resistance, and completely lost consciousness the moment they came into contact with the hot wind. Bang! 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 In just 2 or 3 seconds, all the 7 elves lost their ability to fight, turning into scorched black objects and fell under the ring. You commanded the wind speed dog to defeat the hot monkey, the mosquito coil swimmer, the big-billed sparrow. A total of 7 elves, a little gain, the battle experience plus 7, the wind speed dog experience point acquisition is insufficient, the hot wind proficiency plus 3. A crushing defeat. Apart from the obvious gap, this 7-on-1 siege battle was simply a unilateral crush by the wind speed dog. On sight. Everyone was in an inexplicable shock. At this moment, Baizi raised his head and looked at the shadowy corner on the side of the gym's battle hall with a playful gaze. "Master Iwamura, if you've seen enough, shouldn't it be time to play with me in person?" Chapter 47, Calculation, Twins, 3rd. Snapped, snapped, snapped. With applause, Iwamura Ichiro walked out of the corner with clapping, looked at Baizi, and said in admiration, "Young man, you are very strong, or in other words, you should be the strongest one in the young training family I have seen." If Baizi and his disciple Atai killed each other in a one-on-one match before, this is nothing. After that, with a single enemy, with an absolute advantage that can be called crushing, he instantly killed 7 elves in one move. This scene is a bit terrifying to know. Although the aptitude of these 7 people is mediocre, after all, their age is here, and the average age of the people in their 30s, the main elves in their hands are not too inferior to the strange power of Atai. Such a lineup attacked together in a way that could be called a sneak attack. Even himself. I'm afraid, there is no way to do it so easily. So what? Baizi shrugged slightly and said, are you fighting or not? Quote. Iwamura Ichiro's breath stagnated, and he almost couldn't keep the smirk on his face. Inhale, exhale tilde. He let out a long sigh of relief and barely held his face, but Iwamura Ichiro's voice couldn't help revealing a hint of ruthlessness. Since you insist on fighting, I will naturally not refuse. However, what I'm best at is 2v2 doubles battles, if you dare to fight. The words are not exhausted, but the meaning is self-evident. This is to stimulate himself to play doubles against him. Huh. Baizi smiled suddenly. Iwamura Ichiro thought about this carefully, and he made a clear guess when his mind turned. Obviously, on the one hand, this old guy believes that he will definitely not be able to come up with a powerful elf that can compare to the wind speed dog. On the other hand, even so, he still didn't dare to have a 1v1 battle with himself. Even if in his opinion, this was a doomed wheel battle, it was the same. Therefore, it is said to be a 2v2 doubles battle. But I am afraid that in his heart, this is the idea of wanting to use two enemies and one to determine the victory. But to this, Baizi can only say, you think too much. Not to mention that after the transformation of the Insect King Baoyu, his own giant hornby is so powerful that even a quasi-king of the rank and file is not afraid of it. On the wind speed dog alone. The peak of the king. This is no longer a level that ordinary numbers can make up for. For an existence like Fengsugo, it can be said that the stage of the king has come to an end, not to mention your two quasi-celestial kings. Even if it is two heavenly kings, it is not necessarily the opponent of the wind speed dog. Seriously, Master Iwamura, your aggressive tactics are really clumsy enough. But 2v2 tag team. Of course I have no problem. Saying that, Baizi paused, glanced at Iwamura Ichiro inexplicably, and then responded slowly. As for the wind speed dog's partner. Pretending to think for a moment, Baizi scratched Soraya's hairy little chin in his arms, and decided with a meaningful look, it's fine for this little guy. Having said that. But Baizi was obviously not ready for Zoroya to play, and still hugged him in his arms, casually reaching out to tease the little guy. If you want both face and inner child, how can there be such a good thing in the world? Woo tilde. And Zoroya obviously also won Baizi's heart. After taking the time to give Iwamura Ichiro a blank eye, he turned over, kicking his small claws and shoving Baizi's random click. A soft whimper like a coquettish whimper from the fingers. Arrogant. It's so arrogant. This is obviously telling Iwamura Ichiro that in this doubles, he is going to use fewer enemies and more enemies, use one to hit you with two. Although Iwamura Ichiro himself has a plan to use more to bully the less. But Baizi's attitude still made him angry. Because from Iwamura Ichiro's point of view, the other party didn't take him seriously at all. Okay, it really is a boy from a hero. This middle-aged man who is usually quite shrewd can no longer maintain the smirk on his face at this time, and said coldly, but you are so big, you lose, don't deny it. Baizi was indifferent. Apparently he was too lazy to talk to this guy anymore. When Iwamura Ichiro saw this, his face turned ashen, and without saying a word, he threw two blue high-level balls in the direction of the ring. White light flashed. Two human-shaped elves with similar colors appeared on the ring, and they formed a water chestnut with the wind speed dog. Open black lens bracket race. Huaiquan Lang close black lens bracket. Attribute: fighting. Characteristic: Iron Fist. Level: Quasi Tianwang Intermediate, level 55, 5100ths. Potential: Quasi King. HP: 50, Attack: 105, Defense: 79, Special Attack: 35, Special Defense: 110, Speed: 76. Skills: Absorption Fist, Sonic Fist, Enhanced Fist, See-Through, Retaliation, Quick Defense, Flame Fist, Frozen Fist, Lightning Fist, High 5 Attack. Genetic Skill: Bullet punch. Open black lens bracket condition. Good close black lens bracket. Introduction. He and Feizu Lang are twins who have grown up together since childhood. They have a good heart and a tacit understanding. Race. Flying Leger. Attribute. Fighting. Feature. Lightweight Monty. Level. Quasi-Tianwang Intermediate, Level 55, 5100ths. Potential. Quasi-King. HP. 50, Attack. 120, Defense. 53, Special Attack. 35, Special Defense. 110, Speed. 87. Skills. Bottom kick, double kick, kick down, tap it, flame kick, eye of the heart, megaton kick, close combat. Genetic skill. Flying knee bump. Open black lens bracket condition. Good close black lens bracket. Introduction. He and Kue Quan Lang are twins who have grown up together since childhood. They have a good heart and a good understanding. Chapter 48. Absolute Strength Gap. The event is over. Fourth more. It turned out to be a pair of twins. No wonder. Baizi narrowed his eyes. At this time, he also understood why Iwamura Ichiro chose the 2v2 doubles battle. Except for that series of clever and calculating reasons. Doubles. It seems that it is indeed his forte. Kaikwan Lang, high five surprise attack. Fujiro, bounce, then hit the flying knee. Almost in the same line of attack, Iwamura Ichiro quickly issued a series of orders the first time he released the spirit. The high five surprise attack can be said to be a very high priority preemptive attack trick. And after hitting the target, the opponent will fall into a flinching state, making the opponent unable to use moves during this period. As a preemptive mover, it's a pretty good move. Ha tilde. Kue Quan Lang was short and his feet slammed on the ground. Driven by his skills, his entire body rushed up at an angle that was almost touching the ground, and an uppercut hit the wind speed dog's chin. And at the same time, Feizu Lang also acted quickly. After the spring-like legs contracted to the limit in a short moment, they rolled forward and ejected. Over the legs, head and feet. The body is in the shape of a V, almost indiscriminately catching up with Kue Quan Lang, who was punching directly, and kneeling, towards Feng Su Dog's eyebrows. Combining fists and feet, volleying up and down. This set of combined strike tactics is truly extraordinary. If you are competing at the same level, I am afraid that the General Tianwang trainer will also accidentally suffer a loss. However, Baizi was unmoved, and said indifferently, "It's all in vain." Godly speed. As Baizi said, although the tactics developed for elves are crucial, they are one of the important factors that determine the battle situation and the strength of the trainer. But this premise is that the absolute strength of the two sides is not much different. The doubles fighting style of Kue Quan Lang and Hibi Lang is not bad. But in the face of the wind speed dog of the Peak of the King, still vulnerable. Roar tilde. The shocking roar suddenly came out, and the terrifying deterrent air pressure coming out of the body made everyone present have the illusion of cardiac arrest. And the next second, shoo! The figure of the wind speed dog flashed forward like a phantom, and the extremely sharp air tearing sounded. The right paw that was tearing down the wind came first, and suddenly slapped on the top of Kue Quan Lang's head, kicking the opponent with a kick. Slumped into the floor. At the same time, the long snout opened, and the sharp teeth that grew staggered like sharp weapons accompany the twisted head out, and between the canine teeth, they clamped the spring-like legs of Fei Kui Lang. Homeopathy. Head shake, down. Boom. The violent roar was accompanied by scattered stones and wind pressure. When the smoke screen dissipated, the wind speed dog stood quietly aside with light hair, and not far from its feet, it was Kue Quan Lang with broken hair and obvious claw-shaped grooves on the back of his head, and his legs were almost broken. And the fiddlehead who twisted in an irregular shape. Both have completely lost their ability to fight. That is to say, this battle is a winner. You commanded the wind speed dog to defeat the Iwamura Ichiro's Kue Quan Lang and Hibiro, a little gain, the battle experience +5, the wind speed dog experience is not enough, the speed proficiency +2. The system's prompt sounded, and the wind speed dog also slowly stepped back to Baizi's side. Eyes, quietly betting on Iwamura Ichiro. They are different from Zoroha, who have distinct personalities, arrogance, forbearance, or entanglement. The wind speed dog is very restrained, neither maverick nor too intimate. Forever. They only do things that take priority over Baizi's safety and orders. Well done, wind speed dog. Baizi freed up a hand, stroked the fluffy flaxen fur of the wind speed dog twice, and praised. And on the opposite side, Iwamura Ichiro, who was mourning for his wife, silently put away Kue Quan Lang and Hibi Lang, his face full of grey defeat. Iwakiro knows very well that the Rock Fist Gym, the prestige of the gym that he has worked so hard to manage for more than 10 years, will be completely lost from today on. And it is to be expected. After the news spread, several other private gyms in Nibi City will definitely not miss this good opportunity to get down. The decline of the Rock Fist Gym is already inevitable. And this. It was exactly what Baizi wanted. You won. Iwamura Ichiro didn't do more entanglement, even if the exact strength of the wind speed dog could not be clear, but the king level, there must be no doubt. As a teenage heavenly king, this gap in strength like a gulf made him unable to think of any revenge at all. But there is only one thing, Iwamura Ichiro wants to figure it out no matter what. I don't have much to say about my skills, but why? A proud man like you wants to condescend to kick me into a small private gym. I asked myself, I shouldn't have offended you. It seems that the owner of Iwamura is a noble person who has forgotten a lot. Let me remind you. Baizi jumped from the ring and chuckled. Last night, Ujanshin Hotel. Yes, it's you. The time and place were so clear that Iwamura Ichiro confirmed Baizi's identity almost instantly. At the same time, he finally understood why he suffered this disaster. Sophia, in one sentence, just one sentence, I will exchange the family business that I have saved for more than 10 years. Ha, ha ha ha. Iwamura Ichiro's tone was full of infinite annoyance, remorse and resentment. Baizi didn't listen carefully. After using the power of Baizi to identify that Iwamura Ichiro didn't seem to have any malice towards himself, he left the Iwakan gym directly. That night, a vicious homicide occurred in the city of Nibi. The deceased was named Sophia, who was identified as being beaten to death by a heavy punch. At the same time, the murderer Iwamura Ichiro, who was quickly identified, also disappeared that night. Chapter 49. Ludo, a loud cry for help. Fifth more. After leaving Nibi City, Baizi's next goal is Mount Tsukimami. There are 2 reasons. As a result, he was running out of money. With just over $1 million left in carry, it's time to make some extra cash. As one of the most well-known mineral mountains in the Kanto region, Mount Yumi is rich in various precious ores and evolutionary stones, especially the moonstone, which is widely distributed. If you are lucky enough, you don't need to dig deliberately. You may be able to pick up a high-quality moonstone directly on the side of the road when you are passing through Moonshine Mountain. To know. There are almost no defective moonstones in Tsukimiyama. Picked up one, almost enough to maintain food and drink for several months. As far as Baizi knew, at the highest point of the Yujian mountain range, where Pipi worshipped the moon, there was a moonstone called the largest moonstone in the world. Of course he knew that it was what Pipi used for worship and their own evolution. However, Baizi himself was not greedy enough to take it all. He only needs to collect some leftovers near the huge moonstone, and he will earn a lot of money. Here comes the second time. Be prepared to try your luck. See if you can pick up some rare ores. In the wizard world, high-quality ores will be of great benefit to a considerable number of rock-type, steel-type and even ground-type elves. And the shiny iron dumbbells that haven't hatched in the backpack are not as edible as Yukira, the same quasi-god. But in order to cultivate this unborn little guy well enough, the supply of high-quality ore is also indispensable. Hopefully my luck on this trip will be good. With this thought in mind, Baizi stepped into the boundary of Yujian Mountain. And on his left shoulder, the bored Zoroya slumped down on her belly, and her four legs in the air swayed and swayed along with Baizi's march, looking very leisurely. Hello, my name is Dongshe, do you want to have an elf battle? Halfway through the journey, a brown and half long-haired youth approached, stopped Baizi, and bluntly opened his mouth to invite battle. And at his feet, following an elf covered with thick blue vines, it was the vine monster. Of course, no problem. Baizi simply responded without any hesitation. Such road battles are generally wagered with small amounts of money, most of which are around 1 or 200. Although it is not much, it is one of the main ways for many trainers to earn travel expenses. And Baizi has played more than 10 games since he left Nibi City until he stepped into the periphery of Yujian Mountain. Of course he didn't fancy this bet. The strength of these passerby trainers also did not arouse Baizi's interest. But for Zoroha, this kind of low-level battle can just make it gain a lot of battle experience to improve itself and enhance its strength. Vine Monster, Novice Intermediate, Level 17, 6100s. Zoroa, Novice Intermediate, Level 16, 95 100s. There is not much difference in strength between the two sides. The level of the Vine Monster is only slightly better than Zoroa, and it is considered a close match. Naturally, the battles in the wild are not as regulated as the official competition. When the two sides stood still and the stone thrown by Baizi fell to the ground, the two of them ordered at the same time, the Vine Monster, use the Vine Whip to attack. Zoroa, follow suit. Swish. With the order, the Vine Monster took the lead, and two blue vines spread out from the body immediately, turning into two blue whip shadows, heading towards Zoroya as a hood. Soraya didn't panic at all. Snapped. I saw its small pair of front claws slap the ground, and the green energy vines burst out of the ground, entwined against the blue vine whip, and hooked up with it. Stare, then pull it over and use scratch. Immediately after that, it was almost a moment that could not be sent, and Baizi's next order was quickly issued. Wu tilde. And Zoroha lived up to expectations, staring at his opponent, his eyes glowing red. The Vine Monster couldn't help trembling when he looked at each other. The whole body flickered slightly, and the defense was lowered. Not only that. This moment of trance was also used by Zoroya, taking the opportunity to pull the Vine Monster to the front, and then, the two claws that popped out the sharp blade staggered, and swiftly slashed the Vine Monster's body. Countless blue vines broke, and the Vine Monsters flew out with a scream, completely losing the ability to fight. And then, you command Zoroya to defeat the Vine Monster of Winter Snow, gain a little, battle experience +2, Zoroya experience +7, imitate proficiency +1, stare proficiency +1, chaos grab proficiency +1 close black lens bracket. You're really strong, I'm convinced that I lost. The boy who looked a bit incoherent took out 200 union coins and handed it over to Baizi, saying sincerely, "Thank you." Baizi politely thanked him, accepted the money, and after saying goodbye to each other, he was about to move on, but he suddenly froze in place. Because. Save me, please, save me. P.S. I wanted to pull out a branch line in the previous Rockfist gym as a foreshadowing, but since everyone doesn't like it very much, I will leave this line and continue to fast forward to the next plot according to my main line outline. Point. In the future, I will try to avoid this kind of plot as much as possible. I hope you will continue to support me. In addition, if you have any opinions, you can put them in the comment area, and the author will accept them one by one if they feel useful. Tonight all night, let's go through the following plot again, Ollie. Chapter 50, Spiritual Connection, Super Dream. Seeking data. Save me, please, save. The soft voice suddenly sounded in his ears, making Baizi froze in place. He swears. This is no illusion. Because along with this soft cry for help gradually muffled and dissipated, a strange connection that was unclear also appeared in his mind. And according to this wonderful spiritual connection, several intermittent pictures appeared in front of Baizi's eyes like a flashback, a silver-white machine. Green liquid. Uniformed humans printed with the character R. Even. The tingling and suffocation that penetrated deep into the bone also followed, making Baizi feel the same. Baizi groaned suddenly, his body swayed slightly, and he fell to the ground with some instability, and dense cold sweat was soaked on his forehead. Woo. Zoroha, who was thrown off his shoulders, shook his head in hindsight. After discovering the situation of Baizi at this time, immediately, he rushed back into Baizi's arms, stuck out his little tongue, and anxiously licked Baizi's chin and cheeks, whimpering eagerly on his face, and he was about to cry. Okay, Zoroha, I'm all right now. Baizi stopped the little guy in his arms, reached out and rubbed its little head, and comforted with a smile. Not even a lie. The labor pain just now came and went quickly, and this time, it has indeed disappeared without a trace. However, the severe pain that seemed to be tearing and reorganizing his body all the time still made him linger in fear. Zoroya looked up at Baizi with a worried look on his face, seeing that Baizi didn't seem to be lying, and his face was indeed quite rosy. He was a little relieved, and stretched his head to rub against Baizi's chin, clumsily using his own way of comfort. Baizi's heart warmed, he lowered his head, held the little guy tightly in his arms, and gently rubbed back, and chin, and, thank you, Zoroya. After spending a moment with Zoroya. After Baizi released the wind speed dog and signaled the other side to lie down, he directly leaned on the other side's soft and warm fur. Ow tilde. I'm fine, wind speed dog, just let me rest for a while. Facing the worried eyes of the wind speed dog, Baizi lightly smiled and reassured, and rubbed the dog's head angrily again, then turned over to his back, rubbed his brows and pondered. The first thing that can be determined is that the existence of short-term spiritual connection with oneself should be in a liquid similar to a culture vessel. Second, it should be in a bad situation. The unforgettable pain even just for a brief moment made Baizi's heart linger, and the situation of the other party who has been bearing this point can be imagined. Again, it is the human who appeared in the picture displayed by the short-lived spiritual connection, wearing the R uniform. This sign speaks for itself in Kanto. It's Team Rocket. I didn't expect that the Rocket Team's base is still hidden inside Yujian Mountain, and it's still a type of base related to biological research. Could it be? At this moment, Baizi couldn't help but think of an existence. Although it was created by human beings, an elf that can rival the top legends, Mewtwo. No. Shouldn't be. But then, Baizi directly denied the conjecture. A mining area like Yujanshan is too eye-catching. If Cheomung's cultivation base is placed here, it may be discovered at any time. Banmu will not be so ignorant. And according to the information in the original book, the birthplace of Chaomeng should be a new island far away from the inland. Not to mention, that soft and glutinous little cotton sound is also seriously inconsistent with the performance in the original Super Dream. So, here's the problem. Baizi pinched his chin and looked inexplicably towards somewhere in Yujian Mountain. Who is calling me? It can transmit spiritual information to me across the mountain range for almost half a month. This spiritual power, I'm afraid it's not weaker than the general superpower legend, right? Thought for a moment. Baizi finally decided to find out. First, through the spontaneous induction of Baizeji's power, it can be determined that the other party is not malicious. After all, Baizi was really curious about the identity of the other party. And he had a strong hunch. This line. You may gain a lot for yourself. At the same time. New Island. In a slightly dim research room, the whole body was filled with wires, and Chao Meng, who was in a sleeping position like a baby, was quietly suspended in a transparent culture vessel filled with orange nutrient solution. Gululu, at this moment, Mewtwo, who was in a dormant state, suddenly began to spread energy outward, and the bubbles in the nutrient solution also rose. And researchers who were always watching the changes in Mewtwo also discovered this for the first time. No, Mewtwo's brainwaves are starting to rise rapidly. What's the matter? I don't know, Dr. Fuji. Originally Chow Meng was fine, but just now, Chow Meng's mental fluctuations suddenly became very violent. It's just like 3 years ago. 3 years ago. Doctor, it's almost breaking through the peak. Immediately inject tranquilizers. The final debugging has not been completed, and it is not yet time for Cheomeng to wake up. Yes. With the joint efforts of several researchers, Chow Meng's brainwaves gradually returned to normal, and he went back to sleep. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Only a trace of worry flashed in the eyes of the hook-nosed old man known as Dr. Fuji. Logically speaking, Mewtwo, who has entered the final debugging stage, will not wake up from its slumber. Because the super dream at this time, although the gene has been stable, but still bred and grown. The biological instinct will prompt Mewtwo to pass through this pregnancy period quietly. Before that, it was impossible for Cheomeng to wake up on his own initiative. But now, could it be that, like the disappearance event 3 years ago, there are some external factors that affected Chow Meng's spiritual world? Chapter 51. The Experimental Base Under the Moonlight Mountain, Seeking Data. Baizi naturally didn't know what happened in the new island thousands of miles away. Now, he is riding on the broad back of the wind-speed dog, facing the evening wind, following the sense of direction left by the previous spiritual link, and galloping away in a certain direction in the depths of Yumi Mountain. Different from the small soil slope in the game, Yujian Mountain, as a mountain range connecting Nibi City and Wallan City, is actually not small in size. Therefore, even riding a wind-speed dog known for its rapidity. But because of Baizi's presence. When they arrived at the place of telepathy, it was already the time of the moon and the sky. The entrance, it should be near here. Jumping off the back of the wind-speed dog, looking at the deserted rocky beach in front of him that seemed to have nothing, Baizi frowned slightly but said with certainty. Orientation can't be wrong. But the entrance to this base seemed to be very hidden, and he was at a loss for a while, and he didn't know where to start. Wu tilde. At this moment, the whimper of wind-speed dog's lowered voice suddenly sounded. Baizi looked for fame. I saw the wind-speed dog beside a small cluster of withered bushes. His nose was moving, and he seemed to have found something. What's wrong? Baizi hurried forward, squatted down, touched 21 a few times, and soon his eyes lit up. The entrance is hidden here, it's really quite secret. Crack, a small, crisp sound. The ground where the cluster of withered bushes was located was directly pulled up by Baizi, and when he pushed it forward, a deep hole suddenly appeared on the ground. Found it. Clap clap. Patting the gray marks on his hands, Baizi breathed a sigh of relief. Then, there was no hesitation at all. With the physical fitness and skills brought by the master-level kicking skills, Baizi was bold, and after putting away the wind-speed dog, he jumped straight into the hole. Underground, in a corridor full of technology, many wearing black uniforms with the word R emblazoned on their chests, the members of Team Rocket leading the elves were patrolling back and forth. And above them, a pair of eyes are quietly looking down at an air outlet. How do you feel? The guards at this experimental base are a bit overkill. Baizi retracted his gaze and pondered inwardly. The defensive power of this experimental base is completely inversely proportional to its concealment. Not only is it not strong, but it can be said to be quite weak. In terms of numbers, there are 4 people in each team, and the number of patrols in a total of 8 teams is not small. But the patrol personnel of the rocket team are terrible in terms of strength. Supersonic Bat, Novice Intermediate, Level 14, 2100s. ABO Snake, Beginner Novice, Level 11, 4100s. Gas Bomb, Novice Intermediate, Level 13, 35 100s. Savarin, Elite Junior, Level 24, 8100s. There are a total of 32 members of the Rocket team, except for a Mohegan head team leader who is close to the elite middle level Savarin, and the rest can't even find a novice high level. That's not right. Baizi rubbed his chin, with some doubts in his eyes. This experimental base is built so secretly, and the experimental subjects studied seem to be very unusual. How can the rationed protective power be so weak? Simply. It's as if you didn't take it to heart at all, just acting like it. Doubt arose in Baizi's heart. Judging from the spiritual expressiveness of that unknown existence that can transmit spiritual information to him across the half-moon, it must not be ordinary. But why did the Rockets pay no attention to the performance of the experimental base with such achievements? Hard to do. What hidden secrets are there? Baizi pondered, but soon, he put all these thoughts to the back of his mind. Hidden or not, he will naturally understand when he goes deeper. And now, with such a weak defensive force, isn't it right in his heart for him? Big stinger bees, don't hold back for a while, just get rid of them. Buzz Tilda Baizi took the luxurious ball with a large needle bee to his mouth and whispered, and as soon as the voice fell, the elf ball suddenly trembled slightly. Feeling the silent response of the big needle bee, Baizi's mouth twitched. Then, he aimed the Pokeball launch port at the corridor below, moved his fingers, and pressed it gently. Swish! The large needle bee quickly deformed and appeared in the projected white light, and then turned into a dark cold light, heading towards the four-person team that had just passed by with its back facing it, and volleyed down. Chapter 52, Descendants of Dreams, Daughter of Super Dream. Seeking data. PFF'd, the big needle bee pulled out the lance-like needle arm, blood spurted out, and the heads of Savarum and Mohegan, who had been pierced directly from their chests, fell to the sky. At the same time, it also announced that the armed forces of this underground base were wiped out. Swish! The needle arm waved, and a splatter of blood was also rendered on the wall. Thank you for your hard work, Big Stinger. Baizi, who jumped lightly from the air vent, nodded to the big needle bee, then released the wind speed dog, and followed the remaining sense of direction in his mind and ran towards the end of the corridor. Behind him, the big stinger and the wind speed dog followed closely. This underground experimental base is not small. There are 5 floors in the light floor. Therefore, even if there were no obstacles along the way, Baizi still spent more than 10 minutes on the road before reaching the metal gate of the core laboratory at the bottom of the base. Arrive. Right here. Feeling something in his heart, Baizi immediately ordered, Feng Speed Dog, use the iron head, knock it away for me. Ow tilde. The wind speed dog did not hesitate at all, its forehead turned into a silver metal shape, and it slammed into the metal gate. Boom. The alloy gate of unknown metal did not constitute the slightest obstacle. Under the iron head of the wind speed dog, it was as fragile as bean dregs. The door was broken in an instant, the metal curled inward, and a huge irregular hole was torn from the center. Woo tilde. The deterrent roar of the wind speed dog came from it. Baizi also bowed slightly and got in. Entering the eye, it is a quite spacious laboratory hall full of technology. Many researchers in white coats shrank in the corner with trembling expressions on their faces, and did not show the slightest intention to resist. Only a Mediterranean old man with reading glasses seemed to pay no attention to the intruder. His eyes were fixed on the screen in front of him, and his fingers quickly tapped the virtual keyboard. In front of him, a virtual 3D image slowly rotates and rises. In the cylindrical culture tank behind the image, a petite figure of emerald and white was quietly suspended in the green nutrient solution, motionless, as if it had fallen into a long sleep. Its body is white, and its green hair covers nearly half of its head like a pot lid, and there are 2 red horns on top of it. This is an elf whose appearance is very similar to that of a human little girl. It's called Loloras. Baizi slowly called out the other party's name. Good. The petite elf curled up in this cultivation tank is the super-type elf that is quite rare in Fangyuan. its place of origin, Lelora's. Not only that, Baizi could clearly feel that the Lelora's in front of him was the one who called him, connected his spirit, and asked him for help. Thinking like this, Baizi's eyes narrowed slightly, and he immediately used the power of Baizi to investigate the attributes of this Lalula's race. Lalula's attribute: Super Fairy. Characteristics: Synchronization, Telepathy, Monty. Level: Beginner Novice, Level 11, 55 100ths. Open black lens bracket potential. Mutating. HP. Attack, Defense, Special Forces, Special Defense, Speed, Close black lens bracket. Exclusive skills. Grating. Skill: Disordered, Unusable. Genetic skills: Black eyes, Farewell gift. Status: Dying. Introduction: Lelora's, with extraordinary aptitude, has a unique talent and possesses a powerful spiritual power far beyond that of his family. The primitive genes of Super Dream and Dream have been artificially injected into his body. Although he is barely fused, his body is on the verge of collapse. This is the product of gene fusion, and the fusion of the two legends of Cheomung and Dream. Baizi's eyes narrowed. At the same time, he also finally knew why this Lelora's had the spiritual power to connect with him across half of the Moonseeing Mountains. He has the genes of the top legends of the two superpowers, Super Dream and Dream. Even if only barely. But in a sense, this Lelora's can be regarded as the offspring of Mewtwo and Phantasm. Therefore, possessing such spiritual potential is not surprising. Just, are you on the verge of collapse? Shut up. Baizi's words seemed to touch on the pain point of Dr. Mediterranean, which made him, who was still engrossed in staring at the 3D image of Lelora's, suddenly jumped into a rage. This is my most perfect work. Collapse. It's impossible. Crash. You illiterate. The furious pupils of Mediterranean Sea were bloodshot, and his fingers pointed to the bridge of Baizi's nose, as if he was about to poke at him at any time. But he obviously won't have such a chance. Because, the golden iron-colored flash pierced a half-moon-shaped arc in the air, and in the next second, the arm of the Mediterranean Sea was instantly chopped into two pieces by the large needle bees that attacked. Blood spurted out immediately. But then, Hung Tilda the wind-speed dog not far away snorted, and two groups of gas turned into hot wind, which seemed to bypass Baizi and the giant needle bee spiritually, evaporate the blood splashed along the way, and slammed across the Mediterranean Sea, blowing him fiercely. Smashed into the corner. Hair, clothing, and even skin were scorched black by the restrained heat. However, it was precisely because of this that the incision on the broken arm of the Mediterranean was stopped, preventing the other party from dying due to bloodshed. Witness the horrors of the Mediterranean. A time. The other researchers in the laboratory suddenly froze, even breathing carefully, for fear that they would follow the footsteps of the Mediterranean. Chapter 53. The New Lelora's, Seeking Data. Baizi did not pay attention to the tragic situation in the Mediterranean and the reactions of others. Anyway, all of them who conducted live experiments deserved it. At this moment, staring at the delicate figure of Lelora's in the petri dish, he suddenly seemed to have thought of something. A thought moves. Open the system panel of the previously harvested, universal compounding potion, then potion plus equals. Style secondary page composition bar. Since the composition and characteristics of the additives determine the effect of the medicine. Then, if I put the legendary rainbow feather, which has the power to revive life, into it. Baizi's eyes flickered. Immediately without hesitation, he took out the close-fitting iridescent feathers from his arms, and placed them out of thin air toward the in the system synthesis column. Next second, the rainbow feather in his hand disappeared instantly, and the system's prompt sound also sounded. Ding, the composition is added. Open black lens bracket constructing. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket complete the deconstruction, start the synthesis. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket completed close black lens bracket. You get a recovery potion, rebirth from ashes. Is it done? Looking at the small bottle containing the ruby-like crystal clear liquid that appeared in his hand, Bai Zi opened the secondary page of Rebirth from Ashes, with a slightly nervous thought. Immediately, rebirth from the ashes. It can make the user reborn, restore all health and remove all abnormal states, and at the same time, there is a certain chance to bring the user back to life, one-time consumption of items. Very good. After reading the introduction on the page, Bai Zi suddenly smiled. It is possible to even bring the dead back to life, so integrating the genetic sequence must not be difficult, right? Thinking of this, Bai Zi didn't hesitate, smashed the culture tank containing Leloris very simply, held the little guy with a sticky body in his arms, and slowly reborn the fire from the ashes in his hand. The medicine was fed. Immediately, layers of bright red luster-like flowing flames rose from Leloris's body. Lalu Tilda. Leloris, who was wrapped in a red halo, suddenly screamed. The voice is like weeping. But it seems that there is a hint of refreshing in the pain. Bai Zi's expression suddenly became a little strange. At the same time, he suddenly felt that the body of Leloris in his hand gradually became a little warmer. The white skin was also rendered with a few strands of pink. This is shy. Bai Zi couldn't help but chuckle. With the passage of time, Leloris's original emerald-colored hair turned into pure white as if it had faded, and then gradually rendered it into a noble lavender. The color of the red horns on the top of the head gradually dimmed, approaching pink. Soon, the red halo completely dissipated, and Leloris also woke up. Thank you for saving me, Tilda. The milky lowly sounded in Bai Zi's mind. This is the special ability brought by Leloris's characteristic telepathy, which can directly connect the other party's brain waves with mental power for barrier-free communication. Bai Zi had seen this before. And through the cute lilac pot cover, Bai Zi seemed to feel the hot gaze of the other party. Nothing. Bai Zi shook his head with a chuckle, then gently picked up the little guy, looked at its eyes, and asked solemnly, "My name is Bai Zi, Lalulas, you are willing to be the bride with me?" Cough, mate. Lalu Tilda. Lalulas was stunned for a moment after hearing the words, and after meeting Bai Zi's eyes, he nodded and responded, "Well, I am willing. I am willing to be Bai Zi's elf." After he finished speaking, he plunged his head into Bai Zi's arms and rubbed his red face, as if he wanted to rub her small body into Bai Zi's body. "Then, please take care of me in the future," Bai Zi said with a smile, stroking Leloris's little head that was arched back and forth in his arms. At the same time, he also activated the power of Bai Zi. Sweep towards Lalulas. Race, Lalula's purple flash. Attribute, Super Fairy. Characteristics, Synchronization, Telepathy, Monty. Level, Elite High, Level 33, 55 100ths. Potential, Level 2 God, Extreme. HP, 128 Attack, 125 Defense, 125 Special Attack, 120 45 Special Defense, 135 Speed, 140. Exclusive skills. Superpower Annihilation. Use the violent superpower to completely destroy everything within the attack range. Spiritual Break. To materialize the magical wave to attack the opponent, causing physical damage. Skills. Charming Voice, Cry, Shadow Clone, Mind Power, Hypnosis, Draining Kiss, Teleportation, Illusion Light, Life Water Droplet, Coquetry, Meditation, Spiritual Intent, Healing Fluctuation. Genetic skills. Black Eyes, Farewell Gift. Open black lens bracket status. Perfect close black lens bracket. Introduction. Leloris, an extraordinary aptitude, is gifted with extraordinary talents and possesses a powerful spiritual power far beyond that of his family. He perfectly integrates the genetic sequences of the two superior legends of Dream and Super Dream, thus gaining power and ability beyond the limit. Tisk. This extremely luxurious attribute panel made Bai Zi secretly speechless. At the same time, I was overjoyed. because the owner of this luxury panel already belongs to him. P.S. Let me explain here. The racial value of Loloris is a value inherited from the dream and the super dream. In the later stage, except for super evolution, there will be basically no changes or increases. Chapter 54. Get it back without a trace. 5 more for support. With the bonus of the hero saving beauty, the next subjugation is naturally a matter of course. When Baizi took out the pokeball. The mouth hasn't even opened yet. The little guy with the purple lid took the initiative to reach out and press the button on the front of the Pokeball. In the white light, he was subdued by Baizi without any resistance. Holding the Pokeball with Loloris, Baizi thought for a while, but instead of releasing her, he whispered close to his mouth, "Take a good rest, and when everything is over, I will introduce you to everyone. You know." After a while, the luxurious black and yellow Pokeball in Baizi's hand shook it twice as if agreeing. Baizi laughed lightly, and put it back into the elf belt. Subsequently, he cast his malicious eyes at the group of trembling researchers in the corner, and the corner of his mouth grinned in a subtle arc. "Next, I hope you can cooperate obediently, and you can say everything you know, and you can say everything, okay?" Boom. Late at night, the moon sees the mountains. Accompanied by the sudden explosion, a mushroom cloud wrapped in a pillar of fire poured into the sky in an instant. It was obviously night time, but the huge explosion light illuminated the whole sky. The terrifying air waves swept directly towards the surroundings, not to mention some vegetation such as moss and shrubs, and even the slightly smaller stone hills were razed to the ground in an instant. The ground distance shook. The cracks opened and closed, spread out like a snake, and even caused more than a dozen large and small landslides. Countless elves were awakened. Fortunately, the location of the explosion was in a desolate place. Except for a few unlucky ghosts, who were a little dizzy, no elves were hurt because of it. But the soaring fire column and the violent explosion soon attracted nearby Union inspectors and security personnel from Nibi City. After a short survey, an assisting police officer stepped forward and reported, "Sir, after the survey, the site that exploded and collapsed should be the site of an underground experimental base. Preliminary estimates suggest that someone had invaded and set up a site before leaving. The self-destruction device detonated this experimental base." Quote. Miss Junsha frowned when she heard the words, but did not speak immediately, but motioned for the assisting police officer to continue. Moreover, the intruder was very alert, consciously erasing all traces of himself. The smell was covered up by the perfume, and no footprints and residues were left. Miss Junsha's frown deepened. "Looking cool." Some dissatisfied said, "Isn't there any gain? What is the origin of this research base, and what does it do? I don't know." "It's not for nothing." "Oh. Look here." With the nervous look of assisting the police officer, he came to a rock, and a silver steel plate that had been blown black was inserted straight into it. Miss Junsha carefully identified it. "Find." The concavities and convexities on one side of the steel plate form a vague character. "R." Miss Junsha's expression turned cold, and after a while, she spit out the name of an underground organization that is famous in both places. "Fire Arrow Team. Kacha, outside Yujian Mountain, east of it, in a makeshift campsite on the slope of No. Baizi leaned against the wind speed dog, lightly tapped, and the multifunctional telescopic table in front of him was automatically assembled and held up. "It should be found, right? Whisper softly." At the corner of his mouth, a slightly arrogant smile twitched. "The clues are naturally left by him, and the purpose is very simple, just to discuss the rockets. Today, he has not yet had the strength to compete head-on with the rockets. But no matter. As the trainer of Loloris, his family and friends, and all the sufferings the little guy has suffered, he will never forget this matter. Just as a meet and greet. In the future, he will definitely get it back completely, without pulling a trace." Wu tilde. After a while, the cold light in his eyes briefly extinguished, Baizi breathed a sigh of relief, and reached out his hand to release all the remaining elves. Everyone, let's get to know our new companions together. White light flashes. Big Stinger, Laplace, Zoroya, and Loloras appeared in the vicinity of Baizi respectively. Count the wind speed dogs used as cushions and iron dumbbells that haven't hatched yet. Now, the 6 handheld elf teams with different duties have already been initially constructed. Although this team was somewhat different from his initial conception, everything was irrelevant. Anyway, Baizi himself was very satisfied. Chapter 55, The Great Zoroha Crisis. First update. Beard tilde. The giant needle bee was as cold as ever. After looking around, he nodded to Loloras, then fluttered his wings and landed on a tree branch on the side, secretly alerting him. Woo tilde. Laplace groaned softly, his eyes curved, and while expressing his welcome, he also fully showed his innocence. This is an old problem, it's hard to change. The wind speed dog also nodded gently in the direction of Loloras, then lied down honestly, and continued to be Baizi's backpad. It's Zoroha. I don't know if it's because of the mutual resistance of the attributes or because of the same-sex repulsion. He seems lukewarm to Loloras, and even shows some hostility. Zoroha is naturally a little unhappy. There are reasons why the properties are mutually exclusive. Same-sex repulsion also exists. But the real reason why it was so angry that Loloras didn't like his eyes, was because the little thing in front of him jumped into Baizi's arms and hung on Baizi's neck and couldn't get it down. Woo oh, filled down pointing triangle dish filled down pointing triangle me winking face oh. Zoroya was instantly furious. To know. This was originally a position that only it could enjoy, and it belonged to it in the arms of a fox. But now, it has been occupied by this little thing that suddenly appeared out of nowhere. Gone. Can't stand it. Woo tilde woo. Thinking of this, Zoroha was furious, and couldn't help but bared his little fangs and roared at Loloras. It wants to declare its sovereignty and let the other party retreat in spite of difficulties. Lalu tilde. Seems to be frightened by Zoroha. Lalu Rastan shivered all over, and after calling Bara aggrieved, he hurriedly shrank his body into Baizi's arms oh. At the same time, Zoroya's mind also sounded a somewhat charming lowly voice. HMPH, stupid fox. Shivering cold. JPG. Provocative. This is provocation, right? And this is already clearly competing with himself for favor. Zoroha felt an unprecedented crisis of falling out of favor. Okay, as a senior, you have to learn to be generous, and Zoroha, who is most considerate of me, will definitely do it, right? Seeing that Zoroya was about to fry, Baizi hurriedly took it into his arms, comforting him while smoothing the hair. Subsequently, he gently nodded Lolora's little head again. His tone was doting, but he looked at him very seriously. And you must learn to live in harmony among your companions, and you can't play tricks. I know it's wrong, Lalu tilde. Lalulas lowered his head timidly, pulled the corner of Baizi's shirt, and responded with a milky voice. Since birth, he has lived in a dark laboratory and endured severe pain that is piercing his heart every day. No one cares, no one communicates, and no one cares. Until Baizi appeared. To be frank, that call for help was just a desperate cry for it to feel the end of its life. But the destined person really appeared. To her, Baizi was like a light, illuminating its life and everything. So, subconsciously, she wanted to monopolize Baizi and didn't want to share it with anyone. That's why, when she saw Zoroya's stupid act of declaring her sovereignty, she would fight back immediately, wanting to overcome the rigidity with softness, while improving her position in Baizi's heart, while reducing the impression of the other party. Gee. It can be said to be a proper belly black. But now that he was seen through, and it was seen that Baizi didn't seem to like her like this, Loloras had to die. But, although it has been decided that he will not do anything similar to Baizi's dislike in the future. But competing for favor, she is serious and will never give up. And here. The simple Zoroha didn't think so much. Baizi's sentence, "Zoraya who thinks about me the most," really makes him elated. At this moment, he is still beautiful. Hey 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 oh, hollow down pointing triangle, asterisk q tilde. The trip to Ujanshan, although the plan to find the moonstone and the ore was in vain, but in terms of harvest, it was a big profit. Don't say anything else. Lelora's alone. You are the evolution stone of that mountain, and it is impossible for Baizi to change it. In addition to the big head of Lalula's, Baizi actually got 2 other heads. This is the first. It is a research material about the gene fusion project. Open the newly bought notebook, plug in the USB flash drive, and after a period of cache, Baizi clicked on the removable storage device in the hard drive. Immediately, a row of pictures and texts appear. Chapter 56, Half-Awakened Spiritual Power. Second more. Snapped. After shutting down the computer, unplugging the USB flash drive and putting it away, Baizi breathed a sigh of relief, closed his eyes slightly and pinched his eyebrows. U-disk is not complicated. But, to Baizi's surprise, apart from the log-like experimental records, he didn't even see a shred of the core technology of the gene fusion project. On the contrary, I found data about the super dream in the God creation project, and Ibrahimovich's data in the multi-attribute fusion experiment. Besides, it is a list of elves' death data column after column. Quite a while. Baizi finally slowly opened his eyes, and his eyes were filled with awe. Up to now, he still doesn't understand that this so-called gene fusion project is just an empty shell. It was purely based on plagiarizing the experimental data obtained by others, and then using living experiments, bit by bit, relying on the lives of countless elves, the results obtained by stepping on their corpses. It is no wonder that such a large experimental base has such a weak garrison. Come to think of it, these experimental data are not from the right source even within the rockets, so they dare not publicize it. But no matter what, these guys are all leftovers that don't deserve to die. Baizi even regretted it a little. He shouldn't have acted so bluntly, let those guys die too cheap. Boom! At this moment, this extreme anger seems to have made Baizi's spirit reach a certain critical point. Suddenly, a roar like a twilight drum and a morning bell resounded in Baizi's mind. Your spirit has broken through the critical point, you have gained a little, your spirit power is half awakened, and your spirit value is +3. Suddenly, with the sound of the system, Baizi only felt that his brain was clear for a while, and the invisible spiritual power gathered between his eyebrows, and it seemed that he would break through the awakening at any time. At the same time, countless complicated and long-term memories began to emerge from my mind. Past life and present life, the bits and pieces of the decades are like watching the lights on a horse. Excavated and resurfaced. And it is as deeply imprinted into my mind as a brand. This is. Baizi frowned, feeling the exceptionally clear memory in his mind, which can be said to be a memory of all the details. Blinked slightly. Feeling the memory image in his mind as clear as a camera, the corners of Baizi's mouth rose, and he felt a little joy in his heart. Lalu tilde. Lelora's is a spirit that can capture the emotions of spirits and humans. Not to mention that this little guy has a strong spiritual power and a natural telepathy that is far superior to that of his family. Although he couldn't directly read Baizi's thoughts, his keen mental sense still made the little guy instantly change to Baizi's mood of anger and joy. Therefore, I couldn't help being a little worried and climbed up Baizi's neck, brought his little head up, and rubbed his cheeks comfortingly. Zoroha also stretched out her pink tongue, and lightly licked the back of Baizi's hand twice. The giant stingrays also seemed to be aware of it, and they all looked at Baizi with concerned and worried eyes. I'm fine. Baizi's heart warmed, he shook his head with a light smile, and rubbed everyone's heads one by one. In this regard, a group of elves responded happily, well-behaved or docile. Only the giant stingray. Seemingly uncomfortable with such an intimate gesture, he resisted the urge to dodge, and after being touched and killed, by Baizi with a slight trembling, he rushed back to the top of the tree as if he were fleeing, and continued to let out his whistle in a serious manner. This is shy. Baizi was stunned for a moment, and then suddenly burst into laughter. He didn't even think that Big Needlebee's cold temperament would feel shy because of close contact. Tisk tisk, is it the so-called contrasting cuteness? After interacting intimately with the elves for a while, Baizi took out the one that was put away again. Fingers squeezed slightly. Click. The power that exceeds the peak value of ordinary people, the powerful finger force brought by it suddenly completely crushed the USB drive into slag, and threw it aside. The spiritual power is half awakened, so the memories are gathered into a book like a photo, and Baizi naturally doesn't need to keep this thing anymore. Crushed, just, destruction and destruction of traces, save what omissions are left. Handle the U-disc. Baizi turned his eyes around again and landed on a blue and white patterned Pokeball dominated by pink. This is a special super healing ball. At the same time, what exists in it is Baizi's second harvest besides the research data of the Gene Fusion Project. Chapter 57. Special Ibrahimovic, the Ace Seed. Third more. Open black lens bracket race. Ibrahimovic close black lens bracket. Attribute, General. Characteristic, Danger Prediction, Monty. Level, Novice Intermediate, Level 15, 3100ths. Potential, King of Heaven. HP, 55, Attack, 55, Defense, 50, Special Attack, 45, Special Defense, 65, Speed, 55. Skills, Desire, Help, Cry, Clash, Tail Wagging, Sand Splashing, Lightning Flash, Round Eyes. Genetic Skill, See-Through. Status, Extremely Poor, Genetic Disorder. Introduction, Good Talent, has a keen sense of attribute energy, can freely evolve into Fire Elves, Water Elves, and Thunder Elves without evolutionary stones, and can also return to the original state after evolution, but this evolutionary ability it is not born with it. It will bring pain to it, and even cause genetic collapse. Looking at the petite figure curled up inside the healing ball, Baizi's expression condensed slightly. Baizi, who is familiar with the elf world and now has an amazing memory, naturally does not know the origin of Ibrahimovic in his hand. As a Team Rocket experiment spirit that appeared in the special edition. Although the appearance space is not much, but the popularity is quite high. After all, this is the only special Ibrahimovic that can degenerate freely and has multiple attribute evolution forms in the special chapter. But according to the original plot, shouldn't this Ibrahimovic escaped from Team Rocket's experimental base, and then met Xiaoqi in Yuhong City and was captured by him? Why is it now appearing in the secret experimental base of Mount Yumi? This is because of the butterfly effect. Or say, Baizi's thoughts were chaotic, and he couldn't come up with the truth for a while. Also, now is not the time to think about these things. Ibrahimovic's state is obviously not good, and Baizi did not dare to rashly remove it from the special healing ball to avoid unforeseen consequences. For now, the best way is to go to the Elf Center to seek Miss Joy's help. And the nearest ferry center from here. Only. Waolan City. It looks like I have to leave overnight. Late at night. Z, accompanied by a piercing sound like the collision of gold and stone, a tall and handsome figure suddenly stopped in front of the Elf Center door in Waolan City. Turning over neatly, Baizi quickly put away the wind speed dog, strode away, and pushed the door straight in. Although it is the darkest hour when the sky will be bright. But behind the counter at the Elf Center, Miss Joy remained at her post. Miss Joy, this child is in a very bad condition, please trouble you. Is that so? Please don't worry, we will do our best. Baizi's expression was solemn, and Miss Joy naturally did not dare to be careless. After receiving the healing ball handed over, she hurriedly called the auspicious egg who was watching the night with her and entered the healing room in the backstage. Time passed by minute by minute. Click. When the first ray of sunlight fell from the sky, the door of the healing room finally opened again. The hours-long medical work made the faces of Miss Joy and Gilly Egg look tired, and on the cart in front of them, the pink-white healing balls were quietly placed on the tray. Middle. Through the translucent crystal shell on the top half of the healing sphere. Baizi can clearly see that although his body is still curled up in a ball, his smart eyes are looking around secretly from time to time. Obviously he has woken up. But this Ibrahimovic seemed to be very vigilant. As soon as he met Baizi's eyes, he quickly shrank and pretended to sleep. Seeing this, Baizi suddenly burst into laughter. Vigilance is good. But this acting is really unsightly. Not to mention compared to his own Laplace, even the little Nymphozoroia is more than one grade better than it. When I came out of the center of the elf, the sky was already bright. And Ibrahimovic, after the overnight treatment by Miss Joy, although his physical condition has completely recovered, the problem of genetic disorder has still not been effectively alleviated and radically cured. According to Miss Joy, this Ibrahimovic of my own is far more unstable in its adaptive genes than those of the same clan. In addition, there are a large number of active attribute factors of water, fire, and thunder in the body, making Ibrahimovic itself unstable. Genes become more difficult to control. Therefore, we want to completely cure the problem of Ibrahimovic gene disorder. The best way is to let it complete a new attribute evolution, while stabilizing the genes, suppress the overactive water, fire, and thunder attribute factors in the body. Brand new attribute evolution. At this point in time, it may still be a problem for others. But for Baizi, apart from the conventional 3 evolutions of water, fire and thunder, he also knows 5 other evolutions of Ibrahimovic. Sun Elf, Moon Elf, Leaf Elf, Ice Elf, Fairy Elf. He knows every evolution method like the back of the hand. But is this really the only way? You know, if the evolution ability of multi-attribute can be mastered completely harmlessly, then the plasticity of this Ibrahimovic can be called unparalleled in the world. It can be said. It is a complete ace elf seed. Chapter 58. Eat Sharonas. 4th more. Yeah. A fragrant wind rushed to his face, and Baizi, who was in deep thought, only felt that he had hit a piece of softness. Then, in a burst of exclamations, he subconsciously stretched his arms forward, wrapped the other party's slender waist, and hugged him into his arms. The first thing I saw was a bright blonde color. Head down again. It is 2 pairs of distinctive oval headdresses, the whole body is black, and each end is divided by a circle of golden solid lines. This unique headgear instantly gave Baizi a strong sense of sight. And as the other party slowly raised his head, the beautiful face under the hair also confirmed Baizi's guess. Hyerna. Huh. Sharona raised her head with a dazed expression. Obviously she was a royal sister in both her appearance and the touch she brought to Baizi, but her expression and temperament at this time gave people a silly and sweet feeling. Such a different kind of contradiction. In Baizi's eyes, Sharona at this time is amazingly charming. You, who are you? How did you know me? Sharona raised her head slightly and asked a little naively. Look at this angle. It's a little bit like a bird. The famous Shanao champion, I am like thunder, and there is no reason why I don't know it. Baizi replied with a light smile. At the same time, the very gentleman stepped back, helped the blonde beauty who seemed a little confused in his arms to stand, and let go of his arms. Ah! Sharona was a little surprised until this time, remembering her previous gesture, and a flash of shame suddenly flashed in her eyes. To be honest, this is the first time she has had such intimate contact with the opposite sex. Although it was just an accident, now that she thinks about it, she still has an electric shock-like numbness. But she quickly adjusted her mood. As if nothing happened. With a soft face, he stretched out his slender hand towards Baizi, and said, "Thank you just now. It's the first time we met. Let's get to know him formally. My name is Sharona, and I come from Shanao." "It's nothing. Speaking of which, I bumped you. My name is Baizi." I'm half a true Xinjiang native. Now I'm traveling with the goal of the Alliance Conference. The corners of his mouth rose, and Baizi also stretched out his right hand, held the opponent's fingertips for 2 or 3 seconds, and then took the initiative to release it. Although it is known from the original work that this Shinao champion is very approachable. But from what he saw just now, it seems that this Valkyrie, who is as cold as a flower on the battlefield, is still a little silly in private. Sharona didn't know what Baizi wanted, but was a little interested in his self-introduction. I grew up in the Hejiang area, and later my parents settled in Junxin town. Baizi shrugged and explained briefly. Is that so? Sharona was stunned. However, when she saw the fruit smoothie spilled on the floor because of the collision just now, her face suddenly changed. I finally queued up to buy the special water fruit smoothie. Saying that, he squatted down with a little grievance on his face, his lips were tightly pursed, and his eyes showed sadness, as if he was paying homage to the lost water, fruit and milk sand. Carrot. Seeing Sharona's sudden appearance of Yan Yi, Baizi couldn't help but chuckle in his heart. Unexpectedly, the dignified Shinao champion, in addition to being a little silly, is actually a foodie. But seeing that Sharona seemed really sad, Baizi could only squat down and comforted. Isn't it just a smoothie, just buy another one. I can't buy it. Sharona sighed and said, I was the last one when I went, and the water, fruit and milk sand shop is a specialty of Wallen City, and it only opens on weekends. But I only have 1 day, and I will return to God this afternoon. Oh. Is that so? Baizi blinked, and for a moment, he suggested, how about I make one for you? Really? Zyrna's eyes suddenly lit up, and she looked at Baizi eagerly and asked, you can make water, fruit and milk sand? No. Baizi answered neatly. This is the first time he has come to Wallen City. This is the first time he has even heard about water and fruit smoothies. Where could he possibly make it? If so, then. Sharona's face was happy at first, and when she was about to make a cheeky request, she suddenly responded, no. Yeah, Baizi nodded as a matter of course. Sharona was speechless for a while, and she didn't know what to do for a while. Seeing this, Baizi immediately raised his brows. Without a word, he grabbed the half of the crispy tube that Sharona was holding in his hand, and then took a bite. Click, a crisp sound. The little bit of milk sand still stained on the crispy tube was directly swallowed by him. Sharona, what are you doing? Have a taste. Baizi's face was full of innocence, and then he ate the remaining crispy tube in 3 or 2 mouthfuls and said, if you don't taste it, how will I know what ingredients it is? How can I make it for you if you don't know the ingredients? Well, most of it is fresh milk, as well as sweet peaches and rongdan. Hey, I even added a little dry powder of fenugreek. And this, energy cubes made from indigo berries and passion fruit. Is it to neutralize the sweetness? It's interesting. According to the taste at that moment, Shirasawa savored it carefully. In a very short period of time, he compared the cultivation knowledge in his memory one by one, and found all the ingredients of this special smoothie. This memory is terrifying. And behind. Sharona opened her mouth and saw that Baizi was gradually walking away, so she had to get up and follow. Chapter 59. Sharona is caught in the battle between heaven and man, the 5th more data. On a meadow on the outskirts of Wallen City. At this time, Baizi has built a temporary kitchen. Folding tables, refrigerators, boilers, knives, containers, etc. are placed one by one. And it didn't take long for Hyerna, who kept talking about the last bite, and the last bite is gone, and returned here with a fiercely biting land shark with a huge fruit basket on its head. After sorting the washed fruit and placing them on the folding table, Sharona rubbed her wrists and said with a look of resentment, can you do it? Besides, it's just a piece of water, fruit and milk sand, do you need so many tree fruits? Would you like to try it and you'll know? Baizi rolled his eyes, and while picking out a few tree fruits to deal with, he seemingly casually swept across the fierce biting land shark beside Sharona. An unseen radiance flashed from the pupils. Immediately, he had a panoramic view of the data of this fierce biting land shark. Race: fierce biting land shark. Attribute: dragon, ground. Characteristic: sand hidden. Level: champion peak, level 79, 7100. Potential: champion. HP: 108, attack: 130, defense: 95, special defense: 80, special defense: 85, speed: 102. Skills: crushing, double chopping, quicksand hell, impact, sand splashing, dragon breath, stomp, tile chopping, dragon claw, burrowing, sandstorm, dragon god dive, earthquake, ultimate impact. Inheritance: sacrifice clash, reverse scales. Open black lens bracket status: perfect close black lens bracket. Introduction: a fierce bite land shark with extraordinary qualifications, fierce personality, amazing physique, good at frontal hard and fierce attack, and some potential to be tapped. Looking at the data panel that appeared in front of him, although he had expected it, Baizi couldn't help but shrink his pupils. This biting land shark is undoubtedly Hyrna's absolute trump card. But as far as he knows, Sharona is only in her 20s now, yet she already possesses such strength. The fierce bite blue shark at the top of the championship is afraid that it will not be inferior to the dodo bird, who is almost in his 30s now. The ace in his hand is fast dragon. However, it is normal to think about it. Sharona rose like a comet at the age of 18 and won the Lily of the Valley competition with an almost crushing attitude. After that, he even fought Kikuno, Day, and Ayu, who were still active in the Shanao area, and then defeated Wu Song, who came back from a long distance, and reached the top of the Shanao champion in one fell swoop. It is no exaggeration to say a word of the capital. Heart sigh. Baizi's hands and feet are not slow at all. First, he put the flat cherry in the oven to bake, and then quickly peeled and cut the fruit except the flat cherry, and put them into a shredder and mixed them into juice. Then, he poured a bottle of fresh milk onto the tray of the refrigerator and started frying the ice. The intermediate level of cooking skills seems to be not high, but the chefs of ordinary restaurants are at this level. Therefore, even if there is no recipe, Baizi quickly made a Baizi version of water fruit smoothie, based on the combination of materials. Mix the 5-colored smoothie into a cup, pour over the milkshake, and then take out the dried sakura powder that has been made, sprinkle lightly and garnish it on top. Finish. You try to make a water and fruit smoothie, you get a little gain, cooking experience +3, ice drink making proficiency is improved. A familiar beep sounds in Baizi's mind. The process ideas about ice drink production have become more clean. Then, he took a bite directly on the smoothie, tasted and contrasted a little, shook his head and put it down, starting the second round of making. You try to make a water and fruit smoothie, you get a little gain, cooking experience +3, ice drink making proficiency is improved. You try to make a water and fruit smoothie, you get a little gain, cooking experience +3, ice drink making proficiency is improved. Open black lens bracket, close black lens bracket. As Baizi's proficiency in making ice drinks increases, his techniques become more and more proficient, and the appearance and taste of the smoothies he makes are getting better and better. On the side, Sharona, who witnessed Baizi's almost visible improvement speed throughout the whole process, Xingxing's eyes were slightly opened, and her face was unbelievable. Even if it's just for cooking. But the speed of this progress is also terrifying. With this level of learning ability, how does this guy's head grow? Sharona sighed secretly. But soon. Looking at the water and fruit smoothies, lined up on the table in front of her, Sharona swallowed her saliva in disappointment. She has always had little resistance to such ice drinks. But the tooth marks on the row of smoothies made her secretly tangled. They all look good. But why are they all eaten? Can't you use a spoon? Greater than dish less than. Heart slander. For a time, Sharona was caught in the battle between heaven and man. PS1. Smoothie is a solid drink, because it is about 70% water. The reason for its solidity is that water turns into ice at low temperature. It is like a piece of ice that you can chew and eat. In fact, it is water, so there is no problem with iced drinks. PS2. New book upload, please support. Ask for collection. Ask for flowers. Ask for comments. Ask for a recommendation. Many thanks. Chapter 60. Unexpected harvest. Can't bear it. First update. In the end, Sharona still couldn't hold back the greedy worm in her stomach. She glanced at Baizi's back with a guilty conscience, and stretched her hand to one of the smoothies. Aside, Baizi's mouth twitched, raising an inexplicable smile. But it wasn't broken. Instead, he refocused his attention on the ice maker. On the other hand, Sharona behind her, after tasting the first cup of smoothie, seemed to have completely aroused the greed in her stomach, and she couldn't stop one cup after another. By the time Baizi finally made the finished product of water fruit smoothie, based on his memories, the row of more than 10 cups of experimental products on the table had all been solved by Sharona. Seeing Baizi looking at herself with a glass of smoothie expressionlessly, Sharona laughed a little embarrassedly. Apricot eyes turned. He simply pointed his finger to the side of Libite Shark, and said, "It must be Libite Shark who stole it. I didn't find it just now, I'm really sorry." _O_ winking face. Libite Shark suddenly had a question mark on his forehead. Sharona was sincere. If Baizi didn't know the reason, he might have been fooled by her. Moreover, in order not to give Libite Shark room to refute, Zyrna directly took out a luxurious ball and took it back. Baizi didn't know what to say. But immediately, he smiled again and added as if pointing, "Forget it, as long as Bite Shark doesn't dislike my saliva, it's all I eat after all." This time Sharona couldn't hold back. A group of bright red is spread from her neck slowly up. "Okay, let's not talk about this, let's try the masterpiece." Although he was deliberately teasing the blonde beauty, Baizi knew that enough was enough, so when he found that Sharona seemed to be getting a little embarrassed, he changed the subject very simply and handed the smoothie in his hand. Sharona quickly suppressed the throbbing in her heart and rolled her eyes, but her body took the smoothie honestly. Then, the sandalwood opened its mouth slightly and bit it gently. The rich milkshake melted in the mouth, and then there was a slightly sour taste in the sweetness, like a jelly particle. Opening parenthesis ? Sharona's eyes suddenly lit up. This taste is absolutely incredible. Although I didn't get the genuine, water fruit milk ice. But Sharona feels that just being able to eat this portion in her hand is completely worthwhile. After appreciating Sharona's suddenly adorable expression, Baizi turned around, made a few more milk sand, and started to make breakfast and elf food. The preparation for making smoothies before has made his culinary skills unconsciously increase a lot. Especially the water and fruit smoothie that he finally made. It also made him gain a lot. You have made a breakthrough in the production of delicacy-level ice drinks. You have a little income, cooking experience +120, and you are proficient in ice drinks and desserts. Ding! Persevere and persevere. Get rewarded for diligent work. Cooking skill level +1. The cooking skills have jumped directly to advanced 295,000, which is comparable to an ordinary 5-star chef, and the production methods of various ice drinks and desserts are instantly added to the mind. Therefore, after making a sumptuous breakfast, Baizi couldn't help but tickle his hands to get the materials on the spot, and prepared more than a dozen desserts and pastries of various colors. There was a dazzling table of delicacies, and Sharona's eyes were straight when she looked at it. So greedy. And here. After placing the dinner plate, Baizi wiped his hands, released the elves one by one, and clapped his hands. Everyone, come out, it's time for dinner. White light flashes. Without Baizi's greeting, Big Stinger, Zoroya, Wind Speed Dog, and Laplace consciously sat around the dining table. Lalu tilde. Laloris teleported into Baizi's arms the moment he came out. With a timid appearance, he buried his small head in Baizi's chest. Ibrahimovic, who was also released, was harmless to humans and animals. However, everyone and the elves present could easily see each other's defenses. All tense. It seems that at any time it is possible to attack or flee from those who approach. Oh, filled down pointing triangle vessel filled down pointing triangle me winking face, oh. At this time, the little fox Zoroa's face was shaking and cold. This new guy last night was indeed the enemy of Zoroa's favor. Just a blink of an eye. I'm actually tired of being in the arms of the trainer again. I really can't relax my vigilance for a moment. But compared to this, Ibrahimovic's performance made it even more angry. Ooh. Zoroa left the table with a few jumps, ran to Ibrahimovic, and scolded righteously. In Zoroa's view, your own trainer is simply perfect incarnation, strong, kind, and handsome. Amir Ibrahimovic, it's just that he was rescued without being grateful, and he even showed signs of intention to attack. This is simply revenge. Can Zoroa endure this? Of course I can't stand it.